I mean, this right now is inspired action. Taking a step towards what it is you think you want. Whether you're right or wrong, you won't find out until you actually do something about it. And I'm not somebody who is like, I want to live my life with love and ease. And ease is an important part because I want to approach things that might be scary or might be overwhelming or might, anything. I want to be able to take those things with ease and with love and see how that changes how I would normally, see how that compares to how I would normally do it when I was more trauma focused than love and ease focused. And it sounds silly, but ultimately you get to choose how you want to live your life, and you can pick whatever words you want to guide yourself with, but love and ease just seems like the one that's the right fit for me. And ease is an important part because I don't want to work over 40 hours a week or even a lot of hours a week. I don't think we're meant for that. I don't think that's why we're here. I think this is not being saved. Maybe it is. I don't know. It depends on the AC if you can hear it. I know what the fuck I'm talking about. And not because I need to be right, but because I know it's right. Because I know I'm on the right track. Because I know I understand what it is I'm supposed to learn. But you can get to a certain point where you're in your healing journey or in just trying to change the way you look at the world. You get to a certain point where it's like, where it feels similar to just, I don't know what the fuck I was gonna say. But I'm right, I want to make these videos with confidence and not arrogance, and that's really hard for me because sometimes I speak matter-of-factly. I'm not trying to be... I'm a Virgo, so the parts of me that want to be analytical and precise, those are the ones that kind of take over when it comes to being accurate about something. And so for the longest time I was afraid to say what it is I was thinking, because I wanted to be accurate. And then I start seeing the shit online that exists and the men that the crap that comes out of their mouth. And I understand where they're coming from. But I see another way to say that is I see why they're saying that, and I can see the unhealed version and unhealed parts of them that need to be healed in order for them to change the way they think. But what I know more than anything is that ultimately it's up to the individual. I've tried on a scale, minimal versus as much as I could, to try to get people, specific people in my life, to see things in a different way, to understand themselves a little bit better so they can understand their impact a little bit better, to help them heal. And what I've learned is that not everybody is ready to heal. And another part of that is that it's hard to heal when you're continuously being bombarded by the things that you're trying to heal from, whether that's a person, an institution, a religion, a job. It's hard to heal while you're actively being hurt. But I think that's where the power is, which is relevant to how I feel now. But also it does come down to whether or not that person wants to heal. And so I see the content that exists, and the confidence that people who say dumb things or ignorant things, or just basically it comes down to saying things from an unhealed version of yourself, a version of yourself that is so wrapped up in fear that you think you have to put yourself above everyone else in order to appear stronger. But you're still you, regardless of where you are in the food chain. You take that asshole with you. So you have to learn to work with them and to change him, and that's fucking hard. But it's not impossible, but you have to want to do it. And I just don't think, like I said, it's a combination of not wanting to do it and not knowing you need to do it, and even when you try, it's really fucking hard sometimes because you're still actively being put through trauma by a variety of ways. But it's in that moment where you realize, fuck all this. I can exist and I can live in love and ease and not take anything seriously and look at the world with detachment, but with love, and not be affected by every single thing that is happening outside of me, and learn how to manage my emotions and to love myself. There's power in that. And how you do that is very different, depending on who you are and what you like and what your worldview is, how much trauma you have. But having to do that while still going through trauma is the most powerful you will ever be, because you will see the hurt, you will feel the hurt, you'll see the tears and you'll feel the tears, and yet you will still be on a mission to feel better about the world that you're in and the experience that you're having right now. And it's fucking powerful. And that's kind of the bottom line for me. And I think all of this, the reason why I even want to record is because I want people to know that. Because I believe that when you learn to love yourself, you learn to love everybody else. When you truly learn to love yourself. When you can look at your shit and still love yourself anyway. And when you can look at other people's shit and love them anyway. And I don't mean love being stay with somebody that you shouldn't be around. I don't mean love as in vote for a person that you don't really care about, with values that you don't care about. I don't mean love as what we think love is in movies, where it's this obsession with somebody else. That obsession with somebody should be the obsession with yourself. And I promise you, as you learn to understand your little tidbits and then ask yourself why you do those things, how trauma influenced those things, and then ask yourself, which ones do I want to get rid of? And then do the work to do that, you become you're not the same person. And the story of this traumatic thing has taken over my entire life now has empowered me to do something different, has empowered me to look at the world different and to still look at it with love. Can you imagine that? those emotions that you're storing up are yours, and you have to walk around with them. And what I'm saying is that you don't have to. If you choose to dissect everything in your life and understand why you do the things that you do, and do the work and change what it is you want to change, and understand different perspectives and take accountability where you can and when you can, and deciding how you want to look at the world, it's fucking powerful, especially during trauma times. So that's what all this is about, is like being able to, I don't know, let people know that they can think differently about their lives and the world, because I know what value that has had for my own world, and I know the value that could have if a shit ton of us did it. And it is possible, but do you want to do the work? And if the answer is yes, start doing it. And if you don't know how, I don't know, that's kind of why this channel exists, because I think I can help. So, yeah, but you have to be set on the intention of wanting to change, or else it's going to be, if you're going to be your roadblock every single time, at least you can admit that, at least you can work on that, but you have to remember that you are the roadblock. That way you can kind of see past it when you're standing in front of it. You can at least see that there's a perspective or an end game, a point of being that you want to choose to be. And inspired action can be about creating something tangible, starting to paint, or just going to the store and buying a pen that's special for you for journaling, or buy a canvas, or even something bigger, like if you're going to renovate a house, or you're going to do something, you've been thinking about doing something. Inspired action is taking that step. But what I'm saying is that it's not about being productive and being overwhelming yourself. When you start asking those questions and understanding yourself and figuring out how you want to change and see the world, the inspired action comes to you. And it's no longer hard to take that first step. It comes to you. But you have to understand yourself enough, and you have to understand why you want it to come to you. We think we want things for a specific reason, but it's the feeling that you want. You're wanting to feel a certain way by having that thing, and so you associate that feeling with that thing. And as you're doing the work, you're becoming that feeling, so that thing comes to you without as much manual labor, without having to suffer as much and beat yourself up for not painting today or whatever it is you're doing today, because it comes to you. An inspired action. You'll notice something here or there. You'll notice an opportunity to paint. You'll notice, I'm just using paint as an example at this point, but you're noticing different ways that what you're wanting is being pulled to you. You are pulling it towards you, and it always exists. It's just that now you're being aware of it. So now you notice, oh, I actually do have paint. I thought I didn't, but now I just looked somewhere I haven't looked in a while, and there's paint there, and now I can use that for the canvas that I want to cover, right? That inspired action of even just opening a certain door or looking in a certain cabinet. But in the inspired part of it is the important part, and I think the more you can be in touch with who you are, the more the inspired part makes sense. So you're not just painting to paint. You're letting energy flow through you, and you're literally like, it's just becomes this thing that you become so enamored with because it feels more authentic to who you are and what you want to do. But again, you can't do that as well without the healing part. And so this is my inspired action, just clipping the microphone onto the phone and just having this conversation. And so now you have to ask yourself, what's yours? Why did you click on this video? What did you get from it? How can you, even if you don't watch any more of my videos, like what did you get from what I've said? And how can you use that? How can you think about it in a different way? And it's not like something you have to make difficult either. Again, inspired action. Put some put a bullet point on a Post-it, put it on your mirror or wherever it is you look often, and think about the question so that you can really get a good answer. Because not to say that you can't just, whatever pops up in your head is the thing, but again, there's also that healed part of it. There's an unhealed version of you that just wants all the money in the world because you want all the power and all of this and all of that. And there's a love version of you that just wants abundance, whatever that looks like. And the funny thing is, they look very similar as far as the outcome, but the intention is different, and then you use your money differently, and you share it because you're not afraid of losing it. So there's different versions of seeing things, and like I said, when you do the work and you get a little bit more into the deep parts of who you are and what you want and all the things I've mentioned already, what you find and how you're inspired is so much more authentic and so much more beautiful, but you have to, again, take that step. So, like I said, think about the question, think about what your next inspired action might be, and then just let it sit there. It doesn't have to be this, like, you don't have to take action. If you're inspired to, if you think of another thing and another thing and another thing, and they kind of chain together, and you can see like this moment of inspiration, take it, do it. But if you're beating yourself up because you can't think of something, stop thinking about it. It's not that important, and I promise you it'll come to you anyway. Whether right now or in a week or in a year, it'll come to you, because what I've said and the energy I put into this is already floating along in your world, because now you're listening to it, and now you're asking yourself, who am I? Why do I do this thing? And it leads you, it's a journey, but it leads you to a place of what I found and what I call love and ease, and it's a choice that I make every day. So what are you gonna choose?